Hey people, CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 53 of the Grace Ace Attorney Adventures. Last time, we finished up our investigation. We talked to Gina, who basically finally accepted our offer to defend her, and then we had a touching farewell with Susato, in which he gave us some notes from the McGilda trial. And now let's continue on. I was finished packing up my things in my room. Susato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait, there's something I need to say. Hiya! And then Susato flips Rinasuke down the stairway. What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. Susato-san. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us and learning the truth about the nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind, eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. And then Iris comes in with a blower, an air horn. Wake up, Bruno! We're going out to hunt down the guys to get revenge on the thugs who got Emzy. 17th of April, the small hours. St. Steiner's Hospital, Ward 3. Yes, I don't know who it is. That's a great weight on my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place, exactly as we have discussed. On the contrary, the pleasure's been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. Oh, that was Susato talking. My dear madam. Now you'd be so kind, please tell me the status of my stuff. Please tell me no one took it, because I store it all at Windy Banks. No, we are not saving the game. When I woke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets, and so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do this. So where's your friend, then? Sorry. You know, her in the fancy dress. Susato, or however you say it, I don't know. Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. I'm screwed, aren't I? You all right with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again. One day. Even so. But you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. I don't know who's speaking. Yeah, Iris, she's gonna turn... Iris is gonna use her influence to corrupt the court. She's gonna twist the courts in our favor. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Wagi? Great way to show your support, kitty.
Let him have a nose around what I'm gonna do. Oh, that reminds me. I brought this paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Bruno? Ginny?
Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first.
Nah, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities.
Let's not go there.
Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move.
How? Huh? The bad news was a weather report?
So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover and that the train isn't delayed on the way to the port.
Gosh, yes.
Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it?
I couldn't give a monkeys, really. If only all good news canceled out the bad.
And look, the trials made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in pickpocket plunder, see?
How you like that? Well, let them say what they want. See if I care. I can't, because you're covering your face.
Don't worry, Bruno will show everyone what that this headline is nonsense.
I will?
And then in tomorrow's paper, the headline to be... Discharge diver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Bruno?
Oh, yes. Let's hope so.
Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. And it doesn't help that, and it helps that I brought time for Scotland Yard. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it?
It's like she was still here. Today's paper has been entered into the court record.
Good luck then, Bruno. I'll do what I can. There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Mystery Mole. Classified secrets have been looked overseas from Ministry of Justice.
For a 10-year-old, Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of the world news.
It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently, they've been intercepted by hostile nations.
Communications are being intercepted, but how would somebody be doing that?
That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far.
All right.
Are you looking for a new career route now?
No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday.
Yes, it could be. And it could explain why he has Gregson running from pillar to post at the moment.
Updated. Okay.
Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. Who needs the knowledge of the law when you've got a big-ass gun? I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you more support and encouragement, and strong-arming the judge.
I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but thank you, Iris. It's very kind of you. Oh, yeah, Iris.
Yes, Ginny?
Well, I was wondering, is all about Sholmes. Did they fix him up all right? Sorry.
Yes, the operation was a great success, but Hurdy hasn't come around yet.
Sherlock Holmes, freaking playing mind games with his adopted daughter.
I asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up.
I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. All right. No Susato-san and no Mr. Holmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense. The trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom.
It's time then.
Yes, let's go, Gina. Iris.
Lead the way, Bruno.
Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. To have epic pauses, to have basically a delay. The 17th of April, 10 o'clock a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels of the prosecution defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. But wait. Hold the phone! What is it, Lord Van Zieks? Why is there a 10-year-old girl behind the defense bench?
Hello, Mr. Vampire Man. I'm assisting the defense.
No, I'm out! This trial is done! But Lord Van Zieks, I'm not dealing with 10-year-olds in this kangaroo court! I swear, what is wrong with society? Why are there these prepubescent children running these trials? And then, what next? Are they going to become prosecutors and defense attorneys? And then 100 years ago, Francisca, I am 13 years old! Oh, come on! The defense is ready. Lord Van Zieks, my lord. Remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago, you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances in which you should be aware that have led to this? The court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? In what one might describe as your former 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today, you chose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are 2 types of persons I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large.
He means Mr. McGill, who were you defending against the Reaper 2 months ago?
Yes, I just about managed to work that out. Thank you. Magnus McGilden, if I had known what a monster he was, I would have never defended. And then just meanwhile blazed the best 100 years ago. Hold my severed head! How you think McGilden was a monster? You see, McGilden was basically like a little child compared to me. I could outdo him. I have more evil in my little finger than he's in his entire little body, you see? Yeah, just Blaze. Blaze would just completely destroy McGilden. McGilden would be crushed under the sheer evil of Blaze.
And secondly, even more loathsome, clients who are defended by my learned Nipponese friend. Those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Nipponese!
And then 100 years later, Van Zieks gets cancelled on Twitter.com. What? Did he really just say that? Rinnosuke, I have to record this in the notebook so that he may be cancelled on Twitter.com.
He means you now, Bruno.
I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Van Zieks' eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or is he talking about all Japanese people?
An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zieks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all of London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt of the innocence of the defendant? I love how basically Russian extremist revolutionary is allowed on the juror. How did he even get in this jury? Did he forge some papers? And then juror number 4, High 2.0, the old man from the other case. He smuggled his way into a hospital. Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think.
Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything. And I'm ready for it.
I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's a puzzle, but could I have? Women indispensable in society. Some female-centric future awaits. Stop. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take a bus to Crystal Tower, please. And also, please do not mind my cooking pot filled with gunpowder. It is my accessory that I plan to live in Crystal Tower.
Is something wrong, Uno?
Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Yes, freaking terrorist gets into the extremist revolutionary gets in.
Really funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? It's quite strange. The jurors all chose at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know.
So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped.
Very well. Now, Lord Van Zieks, the court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of this case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Winterbank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory.
And what is that supposed to tell us?
It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say.
Oh.
The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please.
Autopsy report has been added over. The crime scene photograph has been added.
I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incidents occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Winterbank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet.
Yeah, I'm not reading any of the gallery dialogue. We can't jump to conclusions here. We must assume her guilt. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive.
My Lord Nipponi's friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious! After their testimony, this girl's true nature would be exposed. Pitiable pickpurse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to the establishing of truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm and evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Bandits. At once, my lord.
The crime scene floor plans have been added, and Windibank's revolver has been added. This isn't good.
I feel like the mood here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Bruno.
I think that's because it has.
Behold my shoulder pads! Let us begin! Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windibank on the 16th of April of this year.
Yes! The food gang! The foodies!
Witnesses, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupations are baddie. Professional baddie.
Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation, same as him.
The boss Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. Why am I on the stand with him?
That's right. We're what they call
The three Skulkin Brothers.
I'll buy you gang.
Why you look at me like that for? Don't move me in with the you lot.
God blimey, let's go. Don't you know what we're going through?
It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him we have. So we're scouring every shady corner of the capital.
And then last night we came across you, the very split of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo?
He is, Nash. He is. The very spit of him.
So we decided then what we're gonna do. We've gonna call ya.
Big bruv Sulky. Come on now, leave it out, you two. I'm not Big Brother Sulky. You are Big Brother Sulky. And then basically, and then the little one takes out a whip. Your name is now Skulky. No! My name is Tobias Gregson. Your name is Skulky. Ah! Yeah, let's just see. Okay, Nash and Ringo. Yeah, Ringo. Sulky Skulkin. And that's where he runs out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky. Beg your pardon, my lord, but my name is Tobias.
What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulkin Brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves are they, these three?
No, my lord, begging your pardon, but please don't let me in with these laws.
2 nights ago, these two brothers, illegally an establishment with the intent to burgle.
I would have loved if Bandits was at these 3 brothers. just love him in. Just Tobias is a part of the gang, whether he wants to or not.
And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence. Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. Order, order! The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near futures.
With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. We're doing this cross-examination. That's going to be this episode, because I'm already loving this.
Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw.
Happy to! Cause a Skulkin's never skulking! Get out of it! I don't know whose voice I was trying to do there. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours, and the gal's door was ajar, see?
It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was.
But once we got inside, God blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room.
We went to see what, the door was locked from the inside.
We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. Just love how animated these guys are. I swear, in one of my stories I'm gonna have to include these guys in some way, shape, or form.
A terrible coincidence it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked on the inside, and within only the victim and the accused were found. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel?
Yes.
What's the matter, Bruno?
Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair on the stand. I know that's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is.
Hold it!
The front door of Windybanks was ajar, you say? What time of night was it?
Must have been about 1, right, Ringo?
Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Sulky?
How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town.
Well, it was...
I'm sorry.
Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo?
I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky, me old mucker?
Leave me alone! There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place.
And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused Miss Gina Lestrade already had the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim.
Objection!
That is pure conjecture.
Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside.
Right, that's what happened.
Hold it!
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in?
Well, good God moves in mysterious ways, they say. Don't they, Ringo?
They do, Dash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon.
God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it?
It weren't no whim, I'm dead sure of that.
It weren't, Nash, it weren't, like we said at the time.
You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no way about it.
It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside.
They're not very good liars, are they?
Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks like our bruv. Right, Sulky?
I said cut it out! And it's gonna be revealed that Gregson is their long-lost brother. He is Sulky. Sulky's just been working undercover. Those chips are getting chomped, are getting a chomping today.
Hold it!
A gunshot, you say? Just the one? Are you sure about that?
Yup, and just the one, Governor. I can swear to that.
It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv?
The farm used belonged to the victim himself.
Yes, Mr. Winterdeck always used to leave his gun lying around the corner counter.
Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds.
That makes sense. Mr. Winterdeck always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded.
That's true. I remember him saying that as well.
So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as a murder weapon.
Yes, my lord, we can.
And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hands of the accused.
Wonderful.
Hold it!
Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom?
If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom.
Of course, there was only a little oil lamp on it. Not much to see by.
And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all.
That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door?
Eh?
Any normal petty theft would have run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think.
Oh, well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo.
Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. They timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination, my Lord Nipponese friend. It would seem is of my Nipponese friend. It would seem is of the former.
Ah, right. Somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night.
Thank you, counsels. So, I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not have been opened. Proceed, witnesses.
We never did nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left at that nice and quiet.
Yeah, we're basically gonna have to present something involving Sholmes. You didn't do or take anything. Is that your story?
Well, it was Bedlam soon, and what it?
It was, Nash, it was. But didn't even have time to pull me dukes out of me Lucy lockets.
So, with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left nice and quietly, you say?
That's right, Governor. Nothing we ain't more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers. We are not bludgeoners.
We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out of me Lucy lockets.
So you certainly like us to believe.
Come again?
As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person?
Stays alive. They fire a gun, you say?
Ah!
Blimey, Governor!
You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway?
It was.
Why the bleeding Nora?
Didn't you mention that before?
You were armed with a gun! And as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Sherlock Holmes!
They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm not reading that. Yeah, you die!
On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel showed signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence.
The Skulkin Brothers Gun has been entered into the court record.
Now, my lord Nipponese friend.
So, there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver 6 cylinders.
Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it.
Exactly.
The point of that it hurled in fact, isn't it?
Yes, it happened almost as soon as we walked in through Windibank's door.
I'll make those brothers pay. I'll break their kneecaps.
Okay, just wanted to check. Yes?
Here's to your successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there were telltale signs of spent powder on the gun, and from a single bullet missing the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny of this trial.
Objection.
Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there.
Objection.
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of this rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on.
Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibank's that night.
The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbroker shop that night?
Okay. Yeah, probably the calendar is what we're going to want to present.
Take that.
The evidence is in this portfolio.
What on earth have you there, counsel?
During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains.
Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do? How arrogantly Nipponese of you!
Well, anyways, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. And you claim to have the evidence the court...
the court is demanding therein?
Yes, my lord.
No more dilly-dallying then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves that these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene?
Take that.
What is that? Explain!
It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident.
From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? If my eyes do not deceive me, it appears that the bullet is still lodged in there.
Yes, as your lordship noted, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death.
The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th.
That's right, and while it isn't refutable, the defense believes that this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night.
Yeah!
Order! How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zeeks? If that is the decision my lord Nipponese friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objections.
What?
But you'll forgive me for flinging my hollow chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. Unlike the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the streets.
Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna let us in the soup.
We had a deal. You weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Sulky. Set the bloke straight.
I have nothing to add. Sorry. I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew their testimonies would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes.
It would seem now that I owe my learned Niburi's friend a word of gratitude.
What do you mean? We'll answer that in the next episode. Anyways, I really appreciate that you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer, and I hope you come back for the next one. Like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do as they want. I'll see you next time. Bye.